So what exactly happened in The Bear Season 2? Here is a full recap breaking down all of the big moments from the show's sequel season. Ready, Chef? Carmy and crew are already deep into the restaurant's remodel, assessing equipment, going over costs, and hey, Natalie is now the project manager of this operation. It's clear this remodel won't be easy, as the crew needs to comply with all the proper measures to run this business and fix the questionable practices that were previously in place. While everyone is wrapping their heads around this monster of a project, Richie is facing his own personal problems. Richie is struggling to find purpose. He's worried he won't have a place in the new restaurant and fears being left behind, but Carmy reassures him that's not happening. The more our crew assesses the restaurant, the more costs they realize they will have, and the money they have for Mikey just won't cut it. So they call on good old Uncle Jimmy to strike a deal. In order to lock in Jimmy's help, Carmy makes an insane deal, agreeing they can pay him back in full in 18 months, and if they don't, then, well, the restaurant would be no more, and it's up to Jimmy to decide what he wants to do with it. Jimmy agrees to the deal, which Natalie and Sydney are nervous about, and rightfully so, because the deal basically means they need to be perfect from the jump, since they understand the restaurant won't be profitable for a few months. They decide to push up the opening date ASAP, which expedites all of the other tests, licenses, and anything else they need to acquire. Oh, and to add to the pressure, Sydney wants a star. So there's that. With no time to lose, Carm, Sid, and the gang get to work in pure chaotic fashion. To better prepare their staff for what's to come, Sydney sends Tina and Ibrahim to culinary school. Sydney and Carmy begin working on the restaurant's new menu, while Nat is navigating her way through the never-ending issues, like the plumbing and mold problems they are uncovering. Speaking of Nat, we find out she's pregnant. Later, we see Sydney having dinner with her father, who doesn't understand why she's working for the restaurant, when she could get a more stable job. While at the store, Carmy runs into an old family friend, Claire, and the sparks begin. Carmy and Sydney continue to experiment and work on their menu, but nothing is really working. They decide to go out and try different types of food for inspiration, but Carmy gets distracted by Claire, so Sid is tasked with tasting all the fine food herself, and boy does she go for it. After eating her way through Chicago and taking notes, Sydney has found her dish. Sydney returns to find the crew taking matters into their own hands with the demo. They've knocked down some walls and uncovered even more messes. Sid is disappointed in being left out of these decisions, but Carm lets her know it won't happen again. Sydney then goes to work on making her new dish, but it's proving more challenging than she thought, and doubt and frustration kick in. Adding to Sydney's frustration is having to find suitable staff for the Bear, but she's finding it difficult to get the right team members. Marcus is sent to Copenhagen to work with a pastry chef to learn all about making fancy desserts, because for the Bear's sake, the desserts, they can't suck. Marcus goes, but not before checking in with his mother's caregiver as she is still in the hospital. Marcus checks into the home he is staying in, which is a cozy little boat. Marcus shows up bright and early to meet the chef he will work under. Here we meet Luca, who seems cold at first, but works with Marcus on the precise details of making dessert and makes sure he has the techniques down. He also lends some helpful advice about food and that it's not just about skill, but being inspired to experiment, which is how it becomes some of the best tasting items around. After helping an injured man on his way home, Marcus calls Sydney to catch up on what's going on around them. Going back to Tina and Ibrahim, who've been going to culinary school, well, Tina's loving it. She's thriving, she's got a knife, and she's excited for the Bear. Ibrahim, on the other hand, hasn't been showing up to class, and Tina's been worried. Unfortunately, the fine dining upgrade doesn't seem to work for him. The Bear is still a work in progress, and the team is making sure the new kitchen is set up for optimal efficiency. Jimmy, however, is frustrated with the progress, or lack thereof. But Natalie convinces him to use his connections to speed up the process. Carmy takes a ride with Claire to take care of some restaurant business. During their time, we learn about Carmy's past and how they interacted growing up. Claire then takes Carmy to a party, which the boy has never been to one before, and starts to have a little fun, which is great for Carm, even if the partygoers do think he's some guy named Logan. Carmy then decides to take Claire to the Bear, where there's chaos, of course, since Richie chose to borrow electricity from a neighbor, to which everyone is screaming as usual. When that whole thing eventually settles down, Carmy and Claire, they kiss. Up until this point, the show and its characters have felt more calm compared to the high-intense madness that was season 1. But halfway through the season, we pause from the current story to join the Brazados for Christmas, which, as you can imagine, brings the mayhem by gathering the chaotic, dysfunctional family into one place. Mikey repeats to Nat to not set their mother off by asking if she's okay. Carmy is home after being away for some time and he's catching a lot of heat from his family. Richie is trying to secure a job to help take care of his growing family. Mikey's struggling with finances and his mental health. And Donna is growing more stressed by the minute as she prepares the 7 fishes. There's a lot going on, and it all comes to a head at the dinner table where all hell breaks loose. Lee and Mikey verbally attack each other, forks go flying, things are breaking, tensions are high, and unfortunately, as much as the family tried to spare Donna of the mess when she came in, Natalie did what she tried to avoid, asking her mom if she was okay. Donna storms off, and next thing you know, she makes an explosive entrance as a car goes straight through the house. Just straight through. Back in the present day, Richie starts working at a fancy restaurant set up by Carmy. He starts by polishing forks, but is not too pleased with his current role. He's not taking the job seriously, which leads to a wake-up call from his supervisor, who is upset with his attitude. Richie is being given the opportunity to work at one of the best restaurants. His supervisor makes sure he realizes that and respects the staff, customers, and everything about this opportunity. Richie then gets a call from his ex-wife. He's excited to mention how he got Taylor Swift tickets for his daughter. But then Tiffany announces her boyfriend proposed to her and she said yes. There's a little positivity on the horizon as Richie gets put on front of house duties and learns just how far the restaurant goes to give their customers the best dining experience. The staff takes careful notes of their patrons, they have multiple systems in place, and Richie takes notice of everything. He starts to develop discipline, coordination, and learns how to provide great service. Richie now has a better understanding of the business, takes it seriously, and is finding his purpose. The bear is finally coming together, and the only thing standing in its way of opening is the fire suppression test. Not exactly a small obstacle, and something that's causing a great deal of stress for Carm and Sid. Everyone's back at the bear. Marcus, Tina, Ibra, and Richie, who wears a suit now.
Yeah, I wear suits now.
Did you hear? The new hires arrive and Tina is ready to get them into shape. Natalie is trying to get an idea of when the inspector is coming in the hope they can get the gas figured out before then. Richie interrupts to deliver a sincere apology to Nat, and the two work together on interviews. Throughout the day, Carmy's having a hard time wrapping his head around his relationship with Claire, which proves distracting for Sydney. Neil has a breakthrough with the gas and recalls a plan to let the original beef catch fire for insurance money, so the system was overridden for that plan to work. The nervous crew surrounds the fire inspector, hoping the problem was fixed because frankly, they can't afford a setback. Luckily, they pass the inspection and are on track for opening. Friends and family night has arrived and Sydney's feeling the pressure. Luckily, her dad, despite his concerns, does have her back. And you know who else is feeling the pressure? Carmy. The fridge is still broken, the sandwich window can't open, and Nat decided to invite their mother. Carm and Sid are getting the menu ready, Marcus debuts his desserts, and the staff are getting ready. Speaking of Marcus, he tries to ask Sid out, but it doesn't go so well, and now it's awkward between these two. With only minutes to open, everyone gets into place, awaiting Sydney's orders. Let it rip. The bear is open, and while the guests are making their way in, things are moving fast inside the kitchen. The high-intense madness that was season 1 is back, and as usual, things start getting hectic. There are no forks, a new hire is missing, and the toilet is clogged, which leads Nat to have to deal with. During Nat's time away, Pete runs into Donna, who he tries to convince to come inside, but she refuses, not wanting to ruin the night. The kitchen gets even more tense when Carmy gets locked in the fridge because the handle was broken. While Tina and Sydney are trying to keep things under control, Carmy snaps and is raging inside the fridge. The kitchen starts to get backed up, but Richie steps up to assist Sydney in getting the staff back on track. Heck yeah, Richie! I love this shift in his character. It's the end of the night and the staff is winding down. Sydney has a touching moment with her dad who gives her positive feedback, and Marcus receives a gift from Luca. Also, Carmy is still in the fridge spiraling. He feels his relationship with Claire was a distraction and his newfound enjoyment is what went wrong. It's revealed Claire is on the other side of the door hearing this, leaving her upset and walking away. Richie appears genuinely confused and berates Carmy, who in turn lashes out at Richie, and the two just continue to have no chill for a minute or so. The lock is cracked open, but Carmy appears frozen. Not literally because he's been in a fridge, but because he finally listens to the voicemail left by Claire, realizing what he's potentially lost. And that's the end of The Bear Season 2. If you want to keep up with The Bear, be sure to check out the links down below. I'm Veronica Valencia, and I'll see you next time.